Hello. Today I'm gonna talk about a gun that has been in the game since the very start, the 50mm KwK39 and the KwK38, and it was always treated as a rather weak gun when in reality it wasn't as weak as it is portrayed in World of Tanks. So the KwK39, it's the main gun on the Panzer III J, and it's the one tank. It's one of two tanks that make the best use of this gun. The Panzer III J and the VK 2001D. They both use this gun. You have the 75 as top gun, but it's not the ideal gun. It's like, for example, on the Covenanter, which you will see a lot of people using the top gun, which is this gun, when in fact this gun it's a much better choice because it's a lot more accurate. It's not limited in range as 400 meters, but that doesn't matter now. I'll leave that to another video. Anyway, the 5cm KWK only has KWK39 only has 67mm of penetration, which is very low, and in fact this is the realistic penetration of the AP shell on the L42, the KWK38. And the APCR penetration on the KWK38, 96, it's actually, if you look at documents, etc., you will find out that it's actually the realistic penetration of the AP shell on the L60. So it's all messed around, and then you get 130mm with APCR. So what happens when you're playing a tank like the Panzer IIIJ is that if you're shooting something that is completely paper, that has basically no armor, you can use AP. But anything with any level of armor, even something that it's usually easy to penetrate, I don't know, like even another Panzer IIIJ, for example, you can penetrate it with AP, but you can't do so reliably. So you will just use APCR. So it's gonna be you're gonna be spamming a lot of APCR, especially when you go up against tier 5s and tier 6 tanks. So if it had the realistic penetration of its AP, the 96mm, or something closer to that, you wouldn't need to spam so much gold ammunition. It wouldn't make it OP, it just would make it more fair. This gun, however, when Wargaming did the rework of the light tanks, they gave this gun to the Leopard, or it already had it, but they reworked it and gave it, as you can see, 100mm of penetration on the AP. Now, this is just a value that Wargaming comes up with. It's not a value based on anything. It's just it's a value based around the standard value that Wargaming believes to be within the level of tier 5 lights. That's why nowadays, if you look at tier 5 light tanks, they all have around the same penetration, 120, 150. The Chaffee gets 96, 143. For example, even the gun, for example, on the tier 6, the MT25, the 57, that used to penetrate 189, now only penetrates 160 with APCR, which is not realistic, and I don't think it helps with balance. I don't think you need to do that to properly balance the vehicle, especially because World of Tanks, it's overall very unbalanced, so it's clearly not the correct approach. So on the Leopard, you get a better 50mm KwK39. which for some reason they just add an L at the end, and it's completely pointless because they could just change the shell. They could do that. There are different types of shell. But instead they just add a different number. They just make an L, which stands for light. They have been doing this for other tanks, and it's just, I don't know, it's disrespectful because they are changing so much about the vehicles just to force them to sort of fit into their game. The thing is, even with this improved version, this gun, it's not the ideal gun to be using on the Leopard. It just doesn't work very well, mainly because of the horrible accuracy of 0.39. If I compare this gun to a similar gun, which can be found, for example, on the T28 at tier 4, one tier below, the ZIS 4, which is an amazing gun, it has 0.34, but this of course is a Russian gun, so you get 0.34 in a 57mm gun, which is quite similar to the 50mm, the German 50mm in terms of performance. The 50mm it's not as good. It's, realistically speaking, it wasn't, but in terms of destructive power, it was. The main shell of the 50mm had more explosive mass than the standard shell on the 57s is 4. So when it came to actually causing damage to a vehicle, causing destruction, they were pretty similar. So what happens here is the penetration values on the ZIS-4 are actually quite accurate, and then you get awesome accuracy, really good dispersion. But on the 50mm, and it deals more damage, it deals 85, but on the 50mm German, the 50mm KwK39, you have horrible accuracy of only 0.39. You only deal 70 points of damage, and you get way less penetration than it should, at least on the AP, because the penetration on the APCR is actually quite accurate. So, but the thing is, the thing I was saying is that on the Leopard, it's that this gun is not viable over the 30mm, because it's inaccurate, which forces you, it's a gun that forces you to stay exposed in order to deal damage, so you are risking yourself more, while with the 30mm you just make a much better use of targets of opportunity. The gameplay overall when using the 30mm is just gonna work better overall, because when you have a target, you're just gonna unload, you're gonna do a lot of damage, and then you're going to cover, and that's it. While on the 50mm, it's not that it wouldn't work. It's just that it doesn't work as well in terms of gameplay because of bad accuracy. Because you're gonna miss a lot of shots, or you're not gonna be able to hit the wake spots. So I'm gonna show you. How this gun, how the 50mm KwK39 is in wartime, which uses realistic values for its guns. So in War Thunder, the best version of this gun, or the one that uses the most advanced ammunition, it's on the Panzer III-M. It's a KwK39, and the AP on the KwK39, it's 89mm. So if in World of Tanks it had 89mm, for example on the Panzer III-J, it would be perfectly fine, because it has an APCR of 130. So it's just a matter of letting players not just have to rely so much on gold ammunition. It wouldn't change how balanced the tank is. It just would make it more fair. This is the APCR, which has 126, so which is very close to the 130. But in World of Tanks, they don't even use this. At least the name of the shell is not even this. It's actually this. It's the Panzergranaten 40, not 41. But on the Panzergranaten 40, you actually get 149 millimeters of penetration. So, if the Leopard, the light tier 5, had this APCR of 149, that would make the 50 millimeter more viable. And if it had better accuracy, and that's it. And if the Panzer 3J had this shell, which penetrates more with AP, it just wouldn't rely so much on gold lamination. The APCR wouldn't need to change. So about the penetration values being flipped around. This is the 50mm KwK39, which is the L42. That in World of Tanks penetrates 60mm, right? And in here you can see it penetrates 67, which is the base penetration of the L60. So you have a shorter gun. So you have the penetration of the shorter gun being present on the longer gun. Then you can see the APCR penetration. It's also a lot less. In World of Tanks it's 96. In here it's 170. So you see it's, and here you have the 130mm penetration with APCR. But this is the shorter gun. But in World of Tanks, this is the penetration value that is being given to the longer gun. The L40, they are applying the penetration values of the L42 to the L60, which is, it's bullshit. Just so you can understand, and then you get horrible accuracy. Just as a comparison to another very similar gun, which is present, which is the 57mm, which is present on the T28, which is another a tier 4 tank. And in World of Tanks it has 0.34 of accuracy, penetrates 112 and 189, and you can see that the penetration with AP is actually could be much better, 140, 139 with AP, and then you get 182 with APCR. So in World of Tanks you get less penetration than it could have with AP, which is it's okay, it's not a big problem. But then you get a lot more penetration with APCR in comparison, when realistically it wasn't even that great, which is fine, it's okay, it's perfectly fine. But it's the duality of what the things that Wargaming does. For a Russian gun, they give it really good accuracy, and they give it really good APCR, or the best APCR available, if not even better. And okay, sure, the AP is not as good. But for the German gun, it's the opposite. For the German gun, they give it garbage level AP when it should have a better AP, and they give it a weaker version of an APCR when it could be much better. And that's it.